So let's talk content and expression. This is something that is relevant to every single music classroom, whether you're band, orchestra, chorus, general music, um, small specialty groups, large specialty groups. We seem to always struggle with having the members of our groups understand not just what the dynamic expression is or interpretive expression is, but why the expression is there. So, my previous slide was talking about in this ancient house, and I had a location. So, let's take a look at this. I've used this as an example for my students because they really struggled with the idea of reverence. So, I looked up the Izumo Taisha shrine. And what's very, very interesting about this shrine, I had to look this up. It is the oldest Shinto shrine in Japan. So I had to go to the country of origin because this is a traditionally Japanese piece. And even though this shrine is not made out of stones like our piece originally says, traditionally Japanese shrines and Japanese traditional houses aren't made of stones. They're made out of wood. And there's not an actual date given to when this was built. But what I've showed my students is that there are shrines throughout Japan. This one is the oldest. And when we talk about what reverence sort of means, I have to give them a context within what the piece is about. So let's take our little person, and I'm going to drop us here. And we're going to take a look at what Google Earth can show us about this context. So here's the shrine. Like I said, it is old. The wood, they can't even begin to date back. And so I've shown this image to my students, and we kind of pan around. And I tell them just to look and to kind of get some observations about what's going on in this Google image. Think about the people, think about the landscape, think about the buildings themselves, and what are some things that you notice. And here are responses that I've gotten. I've gotten responses, well, it's old. Yes, it is old. We've established that, but what else? Think a little bit deeper. And I had a student say, well, it's old, but look at the way it's preserved. Just looking at how old the artwork is, but you can tell that people take really good care of it. And I said, why do you think they take good care of it? And they said, well, it's important to them. It matters. I said, okay, so this matters to them. And they treat it with respect. And okay, so that was a really great observation. What else? I had another student say, there's not a lot of people. It's kind of a tourist attraction. It's the oldest, one of the most important buildings in the Shinto religion, and it's not packed out. You would think there'd be people in line taking 1,000 pictures. This person's taking a picture, but you don't see kids running around. You don't see garbage everywhere. You don't see this kind of craziness that you see at most tourist attractions. And so I said, why do you think that is? And they kind of talked in groups about it, and they said, well, it's the same reason why they keep it preserved. It feels wrong to behave that way in this place. It's a shrine. A shrine is a memorial. It doesn't feel right to act that way. It's disrespectful. And I said, okay, let's take this place and all these ideas that you're talking about. When we talk about singing this piece, piano, pianissimo, slight crescendos, but nothing too much with very distinctive decrescendos. Let's take all of these ideas, and I'm going to show you another place, one that we can put within our own context. So this is a place I have been. And when I typed this in, my class got very quiet. This was a seventh grade class. It was a seventh grade advanced choir. So just to kind of let you know who I was working with. So I don't know how many of you have been here. I would assume if you've been to New York City, you've taken time to be here. And all of my kids just got so quiet. They took a look at this, and some of my kids had been here. None of my kids were alive when 9/11 happened. And I told them that I had been here. At that point, I'd been there once. I've been since twice. And I said, there's a feeling when you walk in to this memorial. It's right here in the middle of a really busy downtown area. You're right by Wall Street, you're right by the river. You're surrounded by these skyscrapers, and New York is so loud. But when you walk into this area, it's like sound stops, and all you hear is this water. And so, what I do is I kind of place them in this park for those who have been and for those who haven't. And we take a look, and they can see the names, and they can see the fountain. And I said, now let's compare and contrast what's going on at the Shinto shrine and now here. And my students were able to make a lot of really good comparisons. They were like, well, they keep it very clean. They're updating it like they were with the shrine. Everything was being preserved really well. There's more people here, which I can understand. It's New York, it's a little bit more cram packed. They said, but you can tell that people are being respectful. People aren't, playing with the fountain. People aren't acting crazy. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, it's the same reason. People feel like it's wrong to behave that way. There's just that deep feeling inside that you can't behave the way you feel like you just kind of want to. And I told them exactly. And that's what this piece is about. It's all about being respectful of your memories, knowing that time can pass, but you can be reverent and respectful of what came before you. And knowing that even though you might have memories of a place that are positive, you still owe it to what's happened before to be respectful. And I had them sing the music again and observe the dynamics, and they sung it incredibly differently. It was like, who are these kids? Um, it was a world of difference because originally they had no idea what reverence was, or they maybe had a basic idea, but what they needed was context, and giving them context within a piece, but also a context within their daily lives that they didn't just see as a flat image, but they felt like they were standing in and they were moving in, gave them a completely different perspective than otherwise. So that's a tool that can be used in any classroom. So I would challenge you, find a piece that maybe your kids are struggling with when it comes to dynamics or interpretation or articulation, and see if there's a way to connect Google Earth to it. I'd be interested to hear your findings on that.